Music of Mendelssohn, his string quartet, number 6 in F minor. Work with high drama. And it was a work I heard this afternoon, so that spawned this opportunity to play it. It wasn't that very performance. It was a group of kids from the College of the Arts playing that work, and they did it so well.
Weren't they brilliant?
Yeah, well, that wasn't them, but
I see.
yeah,
I was gonna say.
but it wasn't far behind what we just heard.
Really?
They played it really, really well. It was a music festival that I attended this afternoon,
Oh, that's wonderful.
and I have to say it was just amazing. That's the standard is so high with chamber music, and these young people played at that speed with the same intensity. It was tremendous.
Wow. Were they just selected? I mean, was it a group thing, like in terms of being like the Australian Youth Orchestra or something?
Yeah, look, it's just a select group of. There's like a competition. It's really a festival where they all get critiqued, and Beatrice was playing in it with her trio, her jazz trio. So it was a real sort of chalk and cheese, apples and oranges scenario. There was groups from all walks of life.
How did they get picked for it? Do you know?
Oh, well, I think they just apply for it. Just go apply.
I wonder if my friend Holly was in it.
Well, she may well have been in it. There was quite a few chamber
Plays the
ensembles.
fiddle.
Yeah, I know that. So yeah, maybe she was involved. It's just the Monash Festival.
Ring her dad and find out.
Yeah. So this was a group from the Victorian College of the Arts. And,
Yeah, that's where she goes.
oh, right. Well, she may have been playing in this quartet. I wonder. Oh, do find that out, because if I was just blown out of the water by the standard of the quartet. It was just tremendous, amazing. These are kids, and they just played it with such authority and abandon.
She's only
That's the thing.
16.
Wow. Well, could have been her. I'd love to know.
I'll find out.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
See you next Friday.
Yeah, please do. That would be great to know. So yes, a Monash Festival, but yeah, it was. It's just an opportunity for young people to play and get a critique from some good judges, and. I don't think it's strictly a competition as such. These festivals are a much healthier proposition because it allows people to sort of compete with themselves and just have an opportunity to play. But yeah, it was. I was just blown out of the water when I heard that work. I love that work. The F minor quartet of Mendelssohn's is one of the great works. We did emissions on it early on, and I'll always come back to it. And when I hear it, I've just sort of compelled, drawn into Mendelssohn's turmoil. And he just had such a restless imagination. I think it was written at a time when he had a lot of drama in his life and tragedy in his life.
When was it his sister who died?
Yes, I think so. And it was written towards the end of his life as well. It's one of his late works.
He had a short life too.
He did. So we'll come back. I'd like to hear the whole thing. Maybe
a lot of restlessness through a lot of his music, isn't there? Really?
There is. There's an inner turmoil.
All about the octet and all that sort of stuff.
That's right. Of course, the octet's a useful work of his. Yeah, it was great. So that was this afternoon, and got back in good time. So sort of ready to zip. So yeah, I can play you B's performance. So I've got it here. I can play one of them. It's a little bit echoey because it was sort of in a larger ensemble, but they played a couple of pieces. But this is one of them. Let me see if I've got the levels right. We'll just try it. It's Blue Skies, and it's with her little jazz combo. So they got an honourable mention and some good, healthy criticism, which is what it's all about.
Great.
From now on
So there we have
Oh,
it.
that was great.
Yeah, bit of fun. Yeah, they had a good romp on stage.
Yeah, a real surety in her voice, isn't she?
Yeah, she's developing that. It's coming along. It's sort of, it takes a while to develop the confidence and the projection and the assuredness with all of the improvising and the scatting and departing from the melody.
Yeah, it's not easy at all, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Even if you've got a good feel for it.
Well, you have to have the feel, and you have to have the sort of the
confidence to
confidence,
have a go.
exactly, to cut loose and abandon and try
You're
things.
not sure really how it's going to happen how it's going to sound till you do it.
Exactly. So
it could be too late.
Indeed, that's it. So it's so important to just have these experiences. But the festival, I mean, how can you critique something like that compared to the F minor string quartet we just heard?
Yeah, I know. Well,
but you know,
it's different. It's apples and oranges.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the good thing about a festival is that essentially they just compete against themselves. So it's an opportunity just to have a critique.
Well, that's right. But I mean, they are apples and oranges. It's not a fair comparison.
No. So they don't. It's not really a competition. So that's the positive thing, I think.
Where was it on?
Oh, it's just in a local hall. Yeah, in Monash. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, just what was it? I think it was a Salvation Army church, Citadel Church or something in High Street Road.
Yeah.
So, it's just where they're running this segment. The festival goes all week and there's many components to it, and ensembles from all the schools play and the community groups play. There's a couple of really interesting community groups participating. One was a group of musicians with Chinese backgrounds, all in traditional dress, singing music from their particular province.
And really?
It was fantastic. It's really interesting.
I'd love to have heard that.
Yeah, so it's got lots of variety and just an opportunity for people to play and listen to each other. So it's a healthy thing, really.
Oh, very.
Yeah, so that was this afternoon. Now, I've just been reminded that I'm supposed to be attending. This is from the sublime to the... No, I won't say the sublime to the ridiculous because, I'll go along to the football night tonight and I'll be Mr. Football Dad. So that's where I'm heading tonight.
I was a football dad for several years.
Right, yes, so that's where I'm heading. It's apparently just after 6, so we've got to keep things rolling here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I had a good day today. I went out and got a much-needed haircut.
Oh, did you? Right.
And then we went to a nice place Kathy likes to go to, and I don't mind for coffee and croissants.
Excellent. Oh, that sounds good. It's before the rain.
Yeah, totally before the rain.
Yeah, good one. Oh, that's great. So you're feeling lighter now that you've had your hair trimmed?
I did with the hair trim, heavier for the croissant, I think.
Heavier for the croissant, yes. Well put, Frank. I always feel heavier after a croissant or 5.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. All right. Well, let's cut to the chase. Let's have some music. And we've got a 20s hit. Well, it's about 1930. It's a recording of Bert Lown and his Hotel Biltmore Orchestra. Now, this record goes, as I said, back to about 1930, but interestingly, it features the Biltmore Rhythm Boys, and this was they're copying the Paul Whiteman Rhythm Boys, and I think what we'll do is, after this, we'll feature some very interesting material about the Rhythm Boys. So, we'll first of all start with Bert Lown and his Hotel Orchestra, and the track is Here Comes the Sun, and we're cranking up the gramophone, and I think we're ready. We need some more sun.
easy words, here comes the sun. Lovers are hand in hand, this is the promised land, daydreams are spun. Laugh your sorrow, it's over, and half the battle is won. Life's no gloomy race, light your happy face, here comes the sun.
Comes the Sun, played by Bert Lown and his Hotel Biltmore Orchestra, and that was the Biltmore Rhythm Boys. The thing I'd like to know about that record, who was the baritone sax player, because it was an outstanding Barry sax song. Yeah, it was really good. I'd love to know who was sitting in with the group on that occasion.
We often hear a baritone sax doing that.
Yeah, really sounded so, grainy. Yeah.
There's another song called Here Comes the Sun, written about 40 years later.
Oh, by the Beatles. Yes. Well, that deserves. We'll have to have some unofficial Beatles programs and just put it to air direct. Yeah, without the stream, because that would be so good.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, we'll have a listen now to. I'll just find a Rhythm Boys track to kick off this session, and we'll hear some very interesting little anecdotes about the Rhythm Boys, including interviews with Al Rinker and Bing Crosby, and little displays. Yeah, it should be good. So we'll just kick off with another classic Whiteman track from that golden period, about 1927.
Cha-cha. Oh, da-de-do, da-da-da-da-de-do, da-da-do, da-da-lily-da-da-da.
was, of course, a 23-year-old Bing Crosby scatting away there in dialogue with Mr. Bix. And at the end of the, after the right-out chorus there. So,
did you hear the vibraphone at the end going very fast?
Yes, you could. They were sort of on maximum vibe there at the end. Yeah, that was really, cutting a bit of edge, that record. And I'll play another. The one record that perhaps defines the Rhythm Boys more than anything is My Pet. Now, the two takes of this survive, and they are placed in profile. So we'll hear them both. And this is another track that's got all of the Whiteman's signature solos and, of course, features the Rhythm Boys in full swing.
She's got them. My pet told me to leave. I'm set, absolutely. So I pet with nobody but my pet.
And now for take two. nobody like my pet. Why pet with another? My pet, pet's no other.
nobody but my pet. Oh, do da da do 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 la. Oh, ba do dee da do do do. Boop ba do do do. My pet told me cutely I'm set, absolutely. So I pet with nobody but my pet.
There we go. Whoa, no, that's enough. We don't need to hear it a third time. And that was recorded on April the 22nd, 1928.
Right.
And two takes of My Pet, featuring some slightly different solo breaks there from Frankie Trumbo and Mr. B.
Yep.
And, of course, Mr. C was doing the scatting on that record.
Certainly was.
Yeah.
Did very well.
He did. He really had a feel for it. Now, here we go. Now, the Rhythm Boys comprised Al Rinker, Bing Crosby, and Harry Barris. And here is Al Rinker in more recent times. I think this was recorded in the 70s,
Boy.
talking about the whole experience and how they cut their teeth and how it all worked. In fact, Al Rinker and Bing Crosby were working together. Initially, I think they were sort of a duo, and the rest of it is history. But let's have a listen to Mr. Rinker
This is vk3sl.
and vk3sl testing.
It was many years before that young Harry Lillis Crosby of Spokane, Washington, was first called Bing, after a character in his favorite comic strip. His earliest interest is sports.
So wrap your troubles in dreams.
At Gonzaga High, he dreams of becoming an athlete. He's the fourth of 7 children and must work after school, sometimes helping out at the brewery, where his father's a bookkeeper. In 1920, at the age of 17, Bing enters Gonzaga University to study law under the Jesuit fathers who were to be a strong influence in his life. He joins the Glee Club and plays varsity baseball. Sports is still his major interest when a fellow student, Al Rinker, invites him to join the Musical-Aiders. They're a hot new group, although not one of the boys can read a note of music. They perform at high school dances, private parties, and eventually in movie theaters, with Bing on the drums.
Weren't you king for a day?
Now Bing becomes obsessed by show business. By his 4th year at Gonzaga, he's working afternoons for a law firm, but finds it more gratifying and more lucrative playing and singing with Rinker's band at night. He decides to drop out of college, and with Al Rinker, prepares to set out for Los Angeles to seek his musical fortune.
I suggested that we go down and see my sister, Mildred Bailey, in Los Angeles.
Al Rinker.
And just to drive down because I didn't tell her we were coming. So he agreed, so we got into this old Model T Ford, 1916 Model T. Oh, you should see it. No top on it. It was the band car. And he threw his drums in the back seat, and we said goodbye to our parents. And we drove off into the west towards Seattle, went to Seattle, drove over there, and cleared down to Los Angeles.
With the help of Mildred Bailey, the boys get their first bookings. Billed as 2 boys and a piano, they come to the attention of Paul Whiteman, who signs them up to tour with his band as a singing novelty duo. Whiteman's the biggest name in pop music. The kids from Spokane seem to be on their way.
We were doubling at the Paul Whiteman Club, which is a big club at the time. And it was a very big club. People were drinking and eating, and Bing and I sang at the tables, you see. But we were very intimate. There's no microphones in those days. And they couldn't hear us. They took us off the bill. And we said, oh, what's going to happen to us? He's going to send us back home, which I don't know what he was going to do. But one of the fellas knew a fellow called Harry Barris, who was doing a single. And he was doing jazz things. He slammed the piano. So he got us, Bing and I, together with Harry Barris. And we rehearsed a couple tunes, like Mississippi Mud, a couple other ones. And we had two little pianos the Whiteman got us, and we slammed them. They could hear us now, and that's how the Rhythm Boys were started. And we started making records.
Street to beat your feet on the Mississippi mud. Oh, what a dance do they do. Lordy, how I'm telling you, they don't need no band. They keep time by clapping their hands. Just as happy as a cow, chewing on a cud when the darkies beat the feet on the Mississippi mud.
We were more or less formed a following, a little bit in our time, like the Beatles did later on, in that type of stuff we did, because we copied instruments. We had marvelous fellows with the orchestra, like Big Spider Beck, Eddie Lang, Joe Venuti, Tommy and Jimmy Dorsey, Red Nichols. My sister Melda Bailey was in the band by that time, and we really had quite an outfit.
Whenever the swells go down in big town, low down there's no low down lower than that. You may believe.
Between engagements, Bing makes a solo, unbilled appearance in a movie called Reaching for the Moon.
So you can lay your dough down when they go low down. There's no low down lower than that.
In the same year, 1930, the Rhythm Boys are set to do a film with Whiteman when Bing runs into trouble. Al Rinker.
While we were starting to make the picture, he was out one night. I guess he had a few drinks too many, and he had a girl with him. And he evidently ran into a telephone pole with a car. Well, the cops picked him up, and he was, I don't know what he did, but they took him to the Lincoln Heights jail. And so there was nothing, so Whiteman heard about it because Bing had a lot to do in the picture. So what they did, Whiteman asked the police if they would let Bing off during the day. They said, yeah, they would under these circumstances. So during the day, they'd let him come into Universal, and he'd do his things, and then the cops would come in the evening and take him back to jail for 2 weeks. We'd say, bye-bye, Bing, see you later.
I think of you with every breath I take.
After departing the Whiteman Band, at Hollywood's Coconut Grove, Bing and the Rhythm Boys are a smash.
But it's time that I care for you. I hear your name.
In the Coconut Grove was where Bing really started to get a reputation as a solo singer. All the stars went there, and it was a lovely place. Now, Max Sennett came over a lot, and he wanted Bing to do some shorts for the Max Sennett, for some shorts, which Bing did. And that was about the time, after he started doing these things, that the Rhythm Boys broke up and we disbanded. He went with Max Sennett and whatever he was doing, and I went my way.
There we have it. That's an excerpt from a documentary with a really close sort of analysis of what Mr. C was doing and how the Rhythm Boys formed. And some fascinating anecdotes shared there. Now, if I
Realised he'd gone to jail.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they bailed him out each day to make the King of Jazz. Well,
Yeah.
I've got the excerpt from the King of Jazz lined up so we can hear the part of the film, which he played. These are recorded on Vitatone Records and synchronised with the film, and that film's been recently restored. And so we'll get to hear Mr. Crosby and the Rhythm Boys in the film, and evidently bailed out for the occasion.
What a dance do they do? Lordy, how I'm telling you, they don't need no band. They time by clapping their hands, just happy as a cow, chewing on a cud when the dark beat feet on the Mississippi mud.
Hey, Bing, this isn't the type of number for this kind of a production.
What kind of a production is this?
A super special production.
Well, I guess you're right. We should get out of the mud and reach for the higher and the finer things of life, the silver lining, and the bluebird, and life, and love.
Ah, look at my doorstep, look at my doorstep, look at the bluebirds, look at the blackbirds, look at the good luck, look at the bad luck, look at the good luck and the bad luck there.
Right.
I never saw bluebirds mingle with blackbirds, I never saw bluebirds doing things backwards, never knew good luck ever could perch with care. Now I overheard those birdies talking today, and I know just why they're acting this way.
Maybe I better pick up the thread of the story.
Well, you lead 'em.
Okay. First the bluebird said, we've got to have sunny weather. So the bluebirds and the blackbirds got together. Then the blackbird said, oh, we're birds of a different feather. So the bluebirds and the blackbirds got together.
Trouble round my door. Blackbirds by the score. Pull it up now. Bluebirds came one day and said to the blackbirds, here are say. Say, who the dickens are these revelers?
Oh, some quartet on the air. It really doesn't matter.
Why, first the bluebird said we gotta have sunny weather. So the bluebirds and the blackbirds got together. Then the blackbird said we're birds of a different feather. So the bluebirds and the blackbirds got together.
And when they talked it over, they let the blackbirds bring the rain.
Tell it.
All the bluebirds then agreed to bring that sunshine again. For we can't have rain or sunshine that lasts forever.
Whip, boo, boo, boo. You can take those bluebirds, take those blackbirds, mix them together, you get fair weather. And that's the reason the bluebirds and the blackbirds got
There we have the Rhythm Boys appearing in the film King of Jazz, made in 1930.
Yeah, good, were they?
They are fantastic. There's a wonderful synergy. Their tone complemented each other perfectly. Beautiful blend. So yeah, that's sort of an extended mix there, and you get an idea of the sort of the type of stage presence they had. And we will now feature another very big hit for that group was Mississippi Mud.
Oh, yeah.
And this also features a wonderful big solo at the end. And here we go. It says both takes. Okay, they are different. It's worth listening for I like doubling up takes because there are subtle differences which are worth listening for.
Yeah.
So we'll hear Mississippi Mud. I'm vk3sl.
3JR also.
Lordy, how they play it. Boy, they really sway it.
What a dance do they do, Lordy.
Lordy, how they play it. Boy, they really sway it. Boy, that music thrills me. Say it nearly kills me.
What a dance do they do? Lordy, how I'm telling you. Oh, what a band, they keep time by clapping their hands. Just as happy as a cow chewing on a cud when the darkies beat their feet on a Mississippi mud. Just as happy as a cow chewing on a cud when the darkies beat their feet on the Mississippi mud.
Lordy, how they play it. Boy, they really sway it.
When the sun goes down, the tide goes out, the darkies gather round and they all begin to shout. Hey, hey, Uncle Dud is the feet on the Mississippi mud. What a dance do they do? Lordy, how I'm telling you. Oh, what a band, they keep time by clapping their hands. Just as happy as a cow chewing on a cud when the darkies beat their feet on the Mississippi mud.
Lordy, how they play it. Boy, they really sway it. Boy, that music thrills me. Say it nearly kills me.
What a dance do they do? Lordy, how I'm telling you. Oh, what a band, they keep time by clapping their hands. Just as happy as a cow chewing on a cud when the darkies beat their feet on the Mississippi mud.
Okay, you heard both takes of Mississippi Mud with Bix and Bing with the Whiteman Orchestra in 1928. So there we have and they're probably one of the most famous recordings that they made. Now, the interesting thing is that the group did disband, and they worked with Gus Arneheim for a while. In fact, there's one track here I can play with Gus Arneheim. But then they reformed for one event only in 1948, many years later, about, 1928 to 48? It's 20-odd years, thereabouts. Is it 20? 43, so about 15 years. Okay, so, yeah, the Rhythm Boys did reform for a cameo on a Bing Crosby show, and that acetate has been put up online, so it is interesting to hear them sing Mississippi Mud yet again, but decades later. And there's certainly a more upbeat feel. You can tell that the styles have changed, different expectations, different era.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that much-loved bit of Americana, the Rhythm Boys, Mississippi Mud.
Here's mud in your eye. What are you boys moaning about?
That Mississippi Mud. Oh, that's pretty.
When the sun goes down, the tide goes up, the darkness gather round and they all begin to shout. Hey, hey, Uncle Doug, it's free to beat your feet on the Mississippi Mud. It's free to beat your feet on the Mississippi Mud. What a dance do they do? Lordy, how I'm telling you. They don't need no band. They take the time by clapping their hands. Just as happy as a cow, chewing on the cud when the dogs beat the feet on the Mississippi Mud.
Lordy, how they play it. Boy, they really sway it. Boy, that music thrills me. Boy, it nearly kills me.
When the sun goes down, sweet tide goes up, the dogs gather round and they all begin to shout. Hey, hey, Uncle Dud, it's free to beat your feet on the Mississippi Mud. It's free to beat your feet on the Mississippi Mud. What a dance do they do? Lordy, how I'm telling you.
Whoever heard
they
of
don't
Merry
need
Man?
no band. Take your time by clapping their hands, just happy as a cow, chewing on the cud when the dogs beat the feet on the Mississippi Mud.
Say there, boy, did you say mud?
I said mud, son.
What are you getting at, lad?
I said that really black mud.
You know, speaking of mud and rain, always reminds me
Reminds you of what?
that I left my sugar standing in the rain, and my sugar melted away.
His sugar melted away. I said his sugar melted away.
You didn't miss. Sweeter than the sugar from the sugar cane. Why, I didn't mean to treat her that way.
He didn't mean to treat her that way. Why did you treat that girl that way?
I'm a bad boy.
Hey, you know, I bet your sweetie thought that you were just a lowest kind of a kind.
Could be, could be.
You never realized she was so refined, did
My
you?
sugar, huh?
That's right.
Irregardless and respective. I just left my sugar standing in the rain, and my sugar melted away. Here's where we get hot.
Oh, hey, hey, Uncle Doug.
Boom.
What a dance do they do? Lordy, how I'm telling you. They don't need no band. Take the time by clapping their hands. Just as happy as a cow, chewing on the cud when the doctor beats the feet, says the doctor beats the feet, says the doctor beats the feet on the Mississippi Mud.
But I left my sugar
Where'd you leave your sugar?
standing in the mud.
In the mud?
You know that filly can't run a lick in the mud?
Yeah, but you know, that was before Del Mar.
That was before racing. I'll bet she's plenty muddy now.
Timing is of the essence. That was the Rhythm Boys reformed in 1948. 43.
Yeah, heard that actually.
Oh, you've heard that before?
Yeah, that particular clip. Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating.
It's on another doco type record.
Okay, well, it's great to know that it's out there, and yeah, it's fascinating hearing them in that slick.
I mean, I heard it as
style.
a kid, you know.
Yeah. It's great that they did reform for the one occasion, and they certainly sort of knew their style, didn't they?
They hadn't lost a thing, had they?
No, they were completely on top of their game. It's really interesting to hear. That was it, though. There was no other known recordings of them. Would love to have heard them in the sort of modern era.
Yeah.
But never the mind. Now, there's also some Bingle Boy here talking. There is an interview with him and he talks about his formative influences.
Oh, yeah.
And this is quite fascinating. He starts off with a song. It's off The Parkinson Show in 1975. It's 2 years before Bing died, but he gives us a little song. He's in good form. And after that, there's a bit of a chat about his formative experiences, which is very interesting. He mentions Beiderbecke and others, and I hadn't heard this before, but definitely worth a listen.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
I'm just breezing along with the breeze. I'm trailing the rails, and I'm roaming the seas. Like those birdies that sing in the trees, I'm pleasing to live, and I'm living to please. The sky is the only roof I have over my head, and when I'm weary, Mother Nature makes me a bed. Yes, I'm just going along as I please, breezing along with the breeze. Been a rover, well, since I was a child. No one to love or care for me. Yes, I've knocked around all over, kind of grew up wild. My home's wherever I may be. Pete Moore and his big band. I'm just like those birdies up in the trees. I'm pleasing to live, and I'm living to please. The sky is the only roof I have over my head, and when I'm weary, Mother Nature makes me a bed. I'm just going along as I please. I'm breezing along, and I'm singing my song. Oh, I'm breezing along with the breeze.
Not much wrong with the notes there. Well, I had no problem. I got through with it thanks to the great support of Pete Moore. You know, he really builds you up with that band. If you can't get pumped up with that, you ought to leave town.
You love singing with a big band, don't you?
Oh, I adore bands.
And I coached all your basic training, in fact, in this business.
Well, I was a drummer in college, had a little dance band. The Juicy Seven, it was called.
Juicy Seven.
And I played the drums and sang the choruses and the vocals. And I followed bands since I was a kid. Used to haunt the record store like the kids do now and get the latest issues, you know, the old bands. I'm going back now, Mike, to 1921, 2, 3, and 4. And I knew every big band. I could imitate all the singers, and I worked in a little band, and they copied all the instrumentation of the prominent bands in, like the Memphis Five and the Dixieland Jazz Band, and the Paul Specht and Paul Whitman and Fred Waring. And I really had an indoctrination so that when I got an opportunity to join the Whiteman Band and work with guys like Beiderbecke and Venuti and Lang and all the greats, why, I'd have done it for nothing. I didn't even want any salary. You know?
I suppose, in fact, you learned so much from people like Beiderbecke.
I sure did. Just being
phrasing,
associating with them and hearing how they played, the Dorsey brothers and Glenn Miller and so many of the fellas that later had bands of their own were musicians in bands that I sang with.
Yes. Let's talk about some composers, too, because, I mean, you grew up during the great period of composers of popular songs.
Yeah, that's when they had when the talking pictures came in, and they had to have musicals, and they brought all the songwriters they could find out to Hollywood to compose scores for these movies.
Who was the most important composer of all the ones you worked for? Important in your sense, to you?
Oh, well, Irving Berlin.
Really?
Yes, because, you know, he wrote White Christmas, and that song probably had more to do with whatever success I've achieved than anything else that ever happened to me.
What was he like in demonstrating?
Irving was beautiful. Well, he played a piano, Michael, that was a special instrument. He only could play in one key, and he had a lever. He could play along, and if he had to go in another key, he'd pull a lever, and the keys would move up and go away, and he could play in another key. And he played really Ricky-Tick piano, just real Mickey Mouse kind of piano. But he had it in his head, you know, what he was going to do. And as far as the singer is concerned, he started out as a singing waiter down at Tony Pastor's down on the east side in New York when he was a young man. And he could demonstrate with his hands and a lot of movement and everything, but he had the tiniest voice you've ever heard in your life. For instance, Fred Allen, a comedian of those days, says, when Irving Berlin sings, you have to hug him to hear him. But he had a great enthusiasm when he demonstrated a song, and even though it didn't sound great, and you'd have doubts about, geez, is that the thing I'm supposed to sing? I don't know if I could get much out of that. You just had to go along with his great reputation and the things he'd done and realize, well, I can't go wrong with this fellow because he's 100% guaranteed. If ever there's a sure thing, it was a Berlin song.
Somebody else, of course, whose numbers you recorded and who was a very good performer of his own songs was Hoagy Carmichael.
Oh, he could throw you off because he sings a song so good, you know, you'd think it's great, and then you try it and you can't make it. Because he did it better. He came along. I was with the band with Whiteman, and we were in Indianapolis, and Hoagy was a university student at the University of Indiana, and he had a little band there. And Paul heard about him. In fact, he came around the stage door there and hung around, and he was a brash little guy, you know, full of pepper and ginger and snap, and he said he wanted to play this song that he had written. And so Paul had a piano backstage, and Hoagy sat down, and he played a song called Washboard Blues. It went something like, morning dawns all cool and rain, me with hunger and cold pain. Be-ba-ba-bo, 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 washboard blues. He said, up to that washing soap, down to that water once more, head low. Must I keep tubbing? Must I keep scrubbing? Must I keep tubbing them mussety clothes? It went on like that. And it has such an unusual construction, you know. There's an old Hoagy Carmichael fan. Whiteman had never heard this kind of a construction, or this kind of melodic phrasing that Hoagy, and he could sing it good, and he played very good with jazz piano, and Whiteman took to it right away, and he signed him.
Yeah.
Took him right along with us. And then he wrote great things, you know, as you know, Stardust and so many other great songs.
He could have retired, I suppose, as soon as he'd written Stardust. I mean, that must have made him an absolute fortune.
He didn't write the words to that. Mitchell Parrish did, but he did write the words to Washboard Blues and a lot of other. And then some words he wrote. No, I had the wrong melody for the first part. I haven't heard it in about 150 years.
No, is anybody else?
No. But it was a cute song. In fact, he recorded it later, and I think Millard Bailey recorded it, too, later. It's a good piece of music. Pete will tell you. It's kind of cute, ain't it, Pete?
Oh, sure.
Thanks. Come in
Thank you,
anytime.
Pete. I had Sammy Kahn on my program a while ago, who you know very well.
Oh, Sammy, yeah.
And he gave the best description of somebody
Okay, well, I'll do a bit of a fade there. I could listen to this all through. It goes for a while, and it's very interesting. He mentions the Hoagy Carmichael version of Washboard Blues, which is a really classic Carmichael track that...
I heard it yesterday on U3A.
Oh, did you really? Did you? Well, I've lined up the 1927 version with Bix and Hoagie, and
brilliant!
It's just absolutely amazing, and I'd quite forgotten about this. And it's great. Thanks, Mr. C, for mentioning it. Very interesting. He's so slick, isn't he? Bing Crosby. It just all flows.
He's so relaxed, isn't he?
Yeah, he's so chill. He's just the coolest dude on the block.
That's right.
Yeah, that's his way. All
He's like that all his performing life.
I think he was in terms of his show business person, but
yeah, sure. I'm not saying that's how he lived his life.
Yeah. But yes, definitely. He always played that very self-assured, sort of really relaxed,
a bit laid back,
Mr. Cool, and that was his. I mean, even in high society, he's very much that way. And this is just, that interview was just 2 years before he died.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He had a heart attack, didn't he?
Yes, he did, on the golf course. I remember it. I remember hearing it when I was a kid.
Yeah, same.
But look, I'll play Washboard Blues, and then I might be able to just quickly sneak in something after it, because I've been told I've got 10 minutes left. So
okay,
we'll hear this first. It's a fascinating track, and Crosby's right. It is structurally very unusual, and it definitely picked Whiteman's attention back in 1927.
Cloudy skies and rain, my poor back ain't broke with pain. My man sleepin', I just scrubbin', chillin', weepin', I just rubbin', ain't just griefin', clothes a tubbin' all day long. Up to that washing soap and down to that water once more. Get down low, get low. Up to that washing soap and down to that water once more. Oh, hands go, Lordy, so weary of scrubbing, face weary, so weary of tubbing them clothes. Up to the washing soap and down to that water once more. Washboard blues never get me gone from here. Rub them dirty clothes all year. Them clothes, them mussety clothes, them raggedy clothes, them grimy clothes, that's all I know. Up and down, back and forth, all year long. Oh Lordy, won't you hear my song? Hear my song. Washing in a shanty on the shore, the river swinging on by the door. Hear that river lowly calling, I just shiver, nights are falling. Hear that river lowly moaning, moaning low. I going to that river, going down to that river someday. Hurry, baby. Hurry day, hurry day, hurry. I was going to that river, going down to that river someday. Throw myself, my poor self away. Oh Lord, must I keep scrubbing? Must I keep tubbing? Must I keep grubbing? Must I keep tubbing? Them old dirty clothes. But I'm going to that river, going down to that river someday. Hurry day, hurry day, hurry day, hurry.
And there we have it. That was Washmore Blues, Paul Whiteman and the band with Hoagie Carmichael and Mr. B back in 1927. A remarkable track. It's unlike anything, really, with its sort of episodic treatment.
It's quite unique, isn't it?
It is.
You just said, but I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it's travelling new territory, really.
It's kind of, I don't know, it hasn't got the flow like a normal jazz record.
No, not at all. It's sort of that
it's a good word again.
Yeah, he's sort of dwelling on that call and response thing, that sort of gear change and that sort of flights of imagination and...
It's like film music.
Yeah, it is. It's a really interesting track, and I'm pleased Crosby brought that up because it's really worth hearing. And that jazz episode in the middle is just fantastic. And,
right.
And that's 1927. That's early days, you know.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. So... it's all good. Now, we are at the end of the road, I'm afraid. So I've got time for just one more, and it is Them Their Eyes. I'm going to play that if I can find it on this large list here. Them Their Eyes. I just have to get up close to the screen so I can see it. And this is the last official recording that the Rhythm Boys made, this time with Gus Arnheim's orchestra at the Coconut Grove. In 1931, I think it was, thereabouts.
Okay.
Them Their Eyes. Here it is. I've lined it up. Care of Mr. Prozoot. It's a fascinating record. And after this time, Crosby went out on his own, made a number of films for Max Sennett and did things, which he explains earlier. And that was the end of the day for the Rhythm Boys. But it's nice to hear them in profile and get a sense of how they operated. They're a fantastic group.
Yeah.
Wonderful synergy, marvellous musicians, and it's interesting too that Mildred Bailey was the sister of Al Rinker.
Very interesting. I had no idea.
And that was the connection. That's how Whiteman got to hear them.
Yeah,
because
she's very good in her own right.
Yeah, she was a star. Yeah, and another musical dynasty, really. Yeah, so look, I suppose I should wind with this, Frank. So we'll make this the last, and then
we'll
yeah.
Say good evening to the listener.
Indeed, and it'll be next week. I'll be back again on Friday.
Should be okay.
Now, I mean, theoretically, I've got music camp, but I don't think it's going to happen. So there's a lot of things in the air pending the situation with the loss of Andrew Jacobs on Thursday night. So I think there's going to be quite a groundswell. I think there'll be a huge number of people at the funeral, but I have a feeling there'll be a coroner's inquest into his passing. Because
I think there will be.
Yeah, because there's the nature of the event.
I have a friend at U3A who has a Tesla. I'm going to ask him to tell me about why it caught fire.
Yes, in fact, it'd be interesting if there's any discussion about what happened, because it just doesn't add up, the whole thing, because it happened in a 60 zone. He must have fell asleep at the wheel, or something, or hit an animal, because you can see there's one police picture that's been put up, and you can see how he careered to the side. He hit a sign, and the sign's damaged, but it wasn't a major collision, and then he went down an embankment. But it would have been probably 60 kilometres an hour, and the car evidently exploded.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that just absolutely horrifies me, and I can't stop dwelling on this fact, is the possibility that he quite possibly survived the event.
Oh my God, and burned to death.
Yeah, burned to death, couldn't get out of the car.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God.
Because when you think about it, a car like a modern Tesla would probably have 6 airbags. And
it's got everything.
It's got everything. That's right. I mean, he paid a huge amount of money for this car, and I remember discussing this with him. I remember talking about it. I remember him telling me how safe it was, And for a low-speed event, you know, you would think that you'd be pretty likely to get through with all the airbags and things.
Yeah.
And then, but my horrible thought is that he just couldn't get out of the car, and he met his demise that way. So it absolutely haunts me, that thought. Yeah. Anyhow, so we'll find out more, I suppose, in time. But there's a lot of. It's good that a lot of people are coming out, and a lot of people who are speaking about it at the moment. And there's a lot of social media discussion because a huge number of people knew him. He was very well known in Melbourne. So there'll be more to be said. But I'm still just in suspended disbelief about the whole thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, look, you have a good week. All the best.
You too, also, of course.
Yeah. And thanks to
we'll talk next weekend.
Indeed, we will. So, look, I'm looking towards Friday. It should be okay, but there are a few question marks. And thanks to the listener. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of it. And we enjoy all this old nostalgia. And
Thank you.
A lot to be experienced in this wonderful old music. So, yeah, let's finish up with the Rhythm Boys' very final, last official recording in 1931.
VK3JR listening.
VK3SL saying cheerio until next week.
They sparkle, boy, how's bubble? I'm telling you, there'll be a whole lot of trouble. Oh, stop rolling.